Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am back with another video, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a few tips to grow out your natural hair. So if you have not already subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification button as well so you do not miss out on my videos, and let's get straight into it. Okay, so when it comes to growing out your hair naturally grows on its own. I would say it's a matter of being very positive about your hair growth journey and being aware of the different factors that go into you actually being able to grow out and retain the length of your hair. So our hair grows regardless of what you do, unless you have a condition that does not allow your hair to grow. If not, then your hair grows about half an inch a month. So that amounts up to 6 inches a year. So most of the time, the issue is not that your hair is not growing. The issue is that you're not able to retain the length of your hair or even the health of your hair. So I just came up with a few tips to help you if you have type 4 hair to grow it or maintain or retain your length. Okay, so the first thing is to limit the amount of manipulation that you do to your hair. So too much tugging and pulling on your hair is going to cause it to wear out over time. So especially if you have type 4 hair, you know how we get a lot of single strand knots? I feel like the more single stranded knots you get, the more you're going to be tugging on it and pulling it and eventually destroying your hair at the end. So if you're someone who prefers to wear your hair out like every week, I would just pick like one style and maintain that throughout the week. So let's say you want to do a low bun or a high bun or a puff or something like that, then I would just keep that style throughout the week or however long you want to keep it before you wash your hair. I feel like that would really limit the amount of manipulation and the tugging that you're putting onto your hair. So then along with that would just be to make sure you're using a satin bonnet or a satin pillowcase on your hair in the nighttime, so when you go to sleep, your hair is not rubbing against any hard surfaces and inducing those knots and those tangles and matting in your hair. Okay, so this gets into tip number 2, which is to utilize protective styles. So if you're the type that does not like to touch your hair for weeks, then I would definitely recommend like braids, twists, locks, crochet. That way you can keep your hair tucked away for a longer amount of time, and this really helps with keeping your hands out of your hair and not touching and pulling on your hair. Or maybe you prefer to wear wigs, then you could just braid up your hair underneath your wigs. That way you're not touching your hair constantly and inducing breakage. So protective styles really helped me out when I was growing out my natural hair, especially in that like awkward phase of hair growth where it's like not short but not long. It's just like really awkward. I definitely used a lot of protective styles. So I got a lot of braids and twists, crochet and all of that, because I really like to see my hair growing out from the roots. So I did a lot of those until my hair kept growing and I kept being able to maintain it. And I feel like protective styles like braids and twists and those type of styles are very easy to work with. They don't require you doing much work. You literally just like braid up your hair or twist up your hair and you're good for like the next few weeks. So that's another tip to help with your hair growth journey and retaining your length. So tip number 3 is to know your hair porosity. So knowing this really helps you determine which products to use or which methods to use. So I know a lot of people would either use the LOC method or the LCO method. Knowing the type of hair that you have and how it functions with products or moisture in it, you're gonna be able to know which products to use, whether you should use like water-based products or more heavier products. So for example, if you have like low porosity hair, then your hair shafts are really like tight and closed, so it makes it harder for it to penetrate any like water or product that you put into it. So for example, knowing you have low porosity hair, you might want to use like warm water to wash your hair or heat up your oils that you're using on your hair, versus if you have like normal or high porosity where your hair would be able to easily, well with normal, it would be able to easily absorb in the proper amount of moisture And then if you have a higher porosity hair, then your shafts are more open, so it's easier for moisture and products to soak up into your hair. So I would definitely do a test to figure out like what porosity your hair is. There are a lot of like different tests, like the strand and the water test. That one doesn't really work for me, but there are other tests that you can do to figure out the porosity of your hair. I'm going to see if I can link something down in the description box so that you guys can check it out. But it's definitely something helpful to know so that you know like the types of products to use or how much to apply or what products work best for your hair. Tip number 4 is to have a wash day routine. I notice that a lot of people who tend to struggle or have the issue of not being able to grow out their hair or not just not knowing what to do with their hair, I feel like most of them do not have like a set wash routine. And this can be as simple as knowing that, okay, when you take your hair out from your braids or from your twists or from any other protective style, that you're gonna pre-poo or detangle before you wash with this type of shampoo and then condition and then style your hair, do whatever you do after. I feel like having like a routine for how you wash your hair makes your hair adapt to it, and then you're able to see like what products work for you or what products don't work for you, and over time you'll be able to pick out the right products for each type of wash day that you have. So for example, let's say you did protective styling, you have a lot of buildup in your scalp. You know that, oh, when I am trying to cleanse my scalp for this particular wash day, I'm gonna do an apple cider vinegar rinse before I pre-poo or before I put my shampoo in. Or if you're just planning on like doing a deep treatment or something that brings moisture back into your hair, you're able to know that, oh, these are the right products that I need to use, or this is what my hair prefers for me to use in this scenario. So just having like a set wash day routine with like products that your hair likes is really good for your hair growth journey overall. So I'll definitely recommend just testing out with your hair and figuring out what your hair likes or what your hair doesn't like and going on from there. Tip number 5 is to detangle your hair before washing it. So a lot of people say not to detangle your hair while it's dry. So I would recommend to detangle your hair with either warm oil or a conditioner or like a pre-shampoo type of product. I feel like when your hair is detangled before you wash it, it makes washing your hair so much easier. So for me, I started pre-pooing with olive oil. So last time I used olive oil, and prior to that I used conditioner. So you just take, like, if you're using oil, just take a lot of it and make sure your hair is saturated. Split up your hair into different sections and just detangle through from the tips of your hair to the root of it, so that way it's fully detangled. Whether using oil or a conditioner or any like co-wash or pre-poo product, then you want to just leave it in for a little bit to soften up your hair before you wash it out and shampoo your hair. And I noticed that detangling your hair before washing it just really reduces the amount of shedding and matting that happens once your hair is wet. So that's why I prefer to do that before shampooing my hair. And then also you want to detangle your hair after you wash your hair. So after you shampoo and wash the shampoo out and all of that stuff, you want to make sure that you detangle your hair. So let's say you go back and put a conditioner in it after shampooing it, then make sure you actually detangle it if it needs to be detangled. Or like, let's say it's getting damp or it's starting to get dry and you're putting in your products, you want to make sure that you're detangling your hair as you're putting in the products, so that way your hair doesn't get matted up or break off because you didn't take the time to detangle it. So tip number 6 is to twist or braid up your hair after you wash it. So with type 4 hair, those of us that have type 4 hair, you know that once you wash your hair and it starts to dry up, it starts to shrink. And once it shrinks and you don't like moisturize it or you don't stretch it out, it's gonna get matted. So I would definitely recommend at least putting some like braids or twists in it to stretch it out and keep it from intertwining with each other and causing single strand knots or just like tangles altogether. So definitely take the time to stretch it out. You don't have to blow dry your hair if you're not comfortable using heat, or you can use it at a low heat or cold. But definitely take the time to actually twist up or braid up your hair after washing it. So tip number 7 is to minimize flat ironing. So for me, I was trying not to use heat on my hair for like a year. So I would mostly stretch out my hair with twists or braids, but then sometimes I would want it like more stretched out for a particular reason. So then I'll just blow dry it, and I would use my Revlon one step blow dryer. I'll leave a link to the video where I show you guys how I fully wash my hair and blow it out with the Revlon one step blow dryer. I really like that blow dryer because it has 3 different settings. So it's like low heat, high heat, and then the cool heat. So I was using the cool heat to blow out my hair, but then sometimes I would want to use heat just to get it like more straight. So that's why I'm saying minimize flat ironing, because with flat ironing, you're taking smaller sections of your hair and you're applying direct heat to it, and you're pulling on it and tugging on it to and applying heat to make it straight. And the more you do that, the more you are opening up your hair to breakage and to heat damage. So I wouldn't say don't straighten your hair if you want to, but I would definitely keep that like at a very minimum so that way your hair doesn't break off. So tip number 8 is to keep your hair moisturized. So for me, let's say I have my hair braided up to wear under a wig or something. When I get in the shower, I just make sure that some of the water gets into my hair and moisturizes it. And then when I get out before my hair completely dries, I'll just add in some like moisturizer and oils just to make sure that my hair is moisturized, because as you know, with type 4 hair, it easily gets very dry. So just being intentional about moisturizing your hair will really make a difference in your hair growth journey and really seeing the health of your hair and maintaining the length of your hair as well. So then tip number 9 is to get a trim. A lot of people skip the trimming process because they're afraid to lose their length or lose their hair, but it's like once your hair is growing out, the ends of your hair are the oldest parts of your hair. So if you're not really paying a lot of attention to it, it's going to start breaking. So you definitely want to make sure that you have scheduled trims so that way you cut off whatever dead ends are there, and that really helps to promote your hair to grow more and retain the health, the volume, and the length of it. So for me, I noticed that my hair gains its elasticity back after I trim it. So like once it's trimmed, it literally just like bounces back up. I notice it especially when I wash my hair or when I twist my hair, because then I don't see like the extra strands just like straggly, but it's all like one length. Okay, and so the final tip is to be patient and actually pray about your hair. So your hair grows over time, as I mentioned before, about half an inch a month. So just be patient with your hair. It's gonna grow. You don't have to panic about it. And then also pray. I pray over my hair all the time. Like God knows the amount of strands that are on my head, so He can definitely make my hair healthy and long, along with me also taking the time to care for it. So just be patient. It's gonna grow over time. It's not gonna grow overnight. So as long as you make sure that you have the proper regimen for your hair and a proper routine for your hair, and just applying some of these steps to your hair growth journey, your hair will grow and be able to maintain its length. So just give it a little bit more time. Don't get frustrated with it. Don't just chop it all off because you don't see it growing. It's actually growing. Just be patient with it and you will see the length as time goes on. So another thing is to not compare your hair journey to another person's hair journey. I know that there are a lot of like YouTube videos out here, a lot of natural hair bloggers with different tips and advice to grow your hair. But just don't compare your hair journey to somebody else's. Just because someone uses a specific method to grow their hair doesn't mean that that same method is going to work for you. So it's just a matter of you finding out what works for you, what your hair doesn't like or likes, and moving forward with that. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys found this very informative, and I hope these tips will help you out as you're growing out your natural hair. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.